Once you know what failure feels like, determination chases success. Kobe Bryant. That's in honor of our guest today, Cade Zook, who is a massive Kobe Bryant fan. Was, past, so forth. But he has like every shoe ever made by Kobe. It's pretty crazy. But we're going to talk about the journey from amateur to pro and what that really looks like. And it's going to be a very honest conversation because Cade's one of the guys out there who will just tell it like it is. And it'll be interesting for us to dissect it and go from there. But real quick, getting in the last 7 days. Jason, how's your last 7 been, bro?
Uh, a lot of it in San Antonio. I was there for the San Antonio Pro with Kayla. So that was interesting. She looked great, but we've got to get her harder. We lost about, I'd say 26 pounds, and it still wasn't enough. So, you get a nice comparison, you get a good look, and now you kind of know more what we got to do. So that was, it was good. It was a good pro debut, but she wanted more. And as a coach, I wanted more for her as well. Other than that, business has been busy. The clinic's going amazing. I had signed like 3 new people. Anytime I travel, I get bombarded. I think it's like Murphy's Law, So not necessarily a bad thing, but then you're like, shit, I got to get to them. You're trying to do all this other stuff. So other than that, the moves happened Friday. Really looking forward to that. It's just the house with way less to manage and take care of, and that I'm grateful for. So yeah, that's about it.
Sweet sense. Robo, your last 7 days, senor.
Same old stuff, man. Just grinding away at work, and like Jason, it just always gets extra busy when you least need it. But it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, I know. We were getting bombarded when we were on our trip down there. I was like, shit, trying to handle new stuff. I know you were. My last 7 days were good. I got married and celebrated turning 43. So it was pretty cool. 7 minutes and it was over. And it was just like one of the kids there, our moms, and then XYZ. It was real quiet and intimate. And we actually went back to work after we did lunch. So we're doing something later on in October and kind of going from there. But with that being said, I actually had Cade in town when this was going on. Cade shows up. I'm like, oh, by the way, I'm getting married tomorrow. And he's like, what? And I was like, yeah. Just we're talking about spring, and we said, fuck it. And he just started laughing because it's very untypical. And we've known each other for a long time. But I want to bring him on here because he is someone who we're closest friends, and I've watched him turn pro and all that. But we were talking this weekend, and we don't really know if anyone really knows what it takes to turn pro in our sport, let alone any sport. Kobe took 3,000 shots a day when he was pro, all these other things. So with that being said, Kate, I want to turn it over to you. Where did it all start, and what began the obsession? Because I remember you saying something to me this past weekend that stood out. You said there was your way, that you believed you had to do it in order for it to work, which was very you don't really hear that from people who say they turn pro. I found it to be intriguing. So I wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So what, do you want to just go from like the beginning? And
Yeah.
I never like started bodybuilding thinking I would turn pro. You know what I mean? Or even had that as a goal. So I just did it because I went to support a guy at the gym who was competing, and then I was a teenager, so I saw the teenage class, and I was like, I could do this. So I was 18, so the next year would have been my 19th. So I was still a teenager, so I did it the next year, and I got second in a pretty big class. I think that was the show that you first did, the '06 Knox Classic, right?
Yep, I was there. That was my first show too as a novice.
So yeah, so that was my first show too, and I just got hooked. And then after that, I just slowly started to try to get better and better each show, which took a while until I actually started reaching out to a coach, because I didn't even know a coach was a thing, at first. And where I live at, there's no bodybuilding community. There's guys that had been doing it, and I could kind of ask questions, but even those guys were just as bro as it gets. So they didn't have they had the answers to me, but looking back on it, they didn't know what they were talking about. So I just kind of started then, and I just got obsessed with it. and took it as far as I could take it. But never had any aspirations of being pro until about like even crossing my mind until I think until like 2014, whenever I was able to win the Tennessee State Show. After I won that, I was kind of thinking like maybe I could possibly do this.
And how many years was it from 14 till when you got your pro card? Because you got your pro card, what was it, 2021 or 2020?
No, 19. So I
19,
got
so
it in
before COVID.
14 to 19, but I started in 06. So 06 to 19.
Okay, so it was a hell of a long pursuit. When you got into it, what was the talk about? What did your training look like? Because me and you talk about the training stuff all the time we're together, and you have your very interesting opinions on it. So I want to go down the training road. How did you train to turn pro? Like, did you change your training over the years? Like when you got to 14, let's focus on 14 to 19. What really were the big changes you made training wise? Were there any?
From 14 to 19, well in my early years, like I used to superset everything because I thought like that's what Arnold Schwarzenegger did. Like whenever I was reading like all the magazines, so I'd do like chest and back, and I got really good results like that. But then I got into like Ronnie Coleman and Jay Cutler, and that's when they were having their big, first and second every year, and I was obsessed with Ronnie Coleman, like just lifting the heaviest amount of weight possible, and but with for the most like 10 to 12 reps, obviously, and that was how that went for a while, and then 14 and up, it kind of stayed at that. Yeah, I've always done like pretty high volume, but like a bodybuilder's volume, nothing crazy. I was always doing like 20 sets for everything, but it's heavy across the board. I mean, I was able to maintain my strength the entire workout. I guess because I ate so much food and stuff. So like from start to finish, the strength was always pretty solid. So I was always just able to lift heavy. And then I started to get a little bit of injuries, but I try to keep as heavy as possible the whole entire career. And then in like 17 or 18 is whenever I started like really researching like actually resting more. And like I went to a 4-day split rather than I used to work out like 6 days a week. I always take one day off, but like when I got a little bit older, like 29, 30, 31 is when I started thinking like I needed to rest more. And I was doing 4 days a week, as heavy, as intense as I possibly could. And I guess more so Dorian Yates, but not quite the low volume as him, but a version of that with maybe just a little more volume, but as intense as possible. And that's when I really started to pack on the size though, was the 4 days a week. So
What
I think
question?
that was probably, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, go ahead, finish out your thought.
I just think that was probably the most beneficial for me as far as size and strength. But of course, you could argue that I had, 12, 13 years in by this point, muscle maturity, age, and all that. You know, so, but the best gains that I probably made was when I switched to 4 days a week.
What questions do you guys have? Robo,
So
Jay?
yeah, jumping in a little bit to let you got your pro card 2019. You hit COVID right after. So what did your competitive landscape look like at that time? How often were you going to shows? What have you kind of done since that time?
Well, in 18, I tore my tricep. Like, right. I was 6 weeks out from nationals and I tore my tendon completely and I had to rehab that. So that messed me up pretty bad, more than I thought it would. But I rehabbed through it and I came back and I was able to turn pro. But like I guess where I rushed the rehab process, like I started having these muscle imbalance injuries. Like I guess so. Like there would be a time where I could like when I was like rehabbing my tricep, I would like lay on a bench and I would do like a lying dumbbell extension, and I could barely do it with like a 10-pound dumbbell, but I could bench press 135. So I was like, well, I can't, and I should have kept going to where I could do the 10-pound dumbbell up to 20 or whatever, 30, 40. But my meathead brain at the time, it was just like, if whatever I can lift the most weight with, that will make me come back faster. So rather than like really rehab that arm the right way, I was just focused on lifting the most weight possible. So I was like bench pressing rather than doing isolation work. And I think that really screwed me up. Now the shoulder of the arm that I tore the tricep on is like really jacked up. And I think it's because of all the barbell pressing I was doing while not fully healed and rehab because I rehabbed myself. And like it paid off because I was able to compete and turn pro. But now like the injuries are piled up so much more. So after 19, I just didn't look the same anymore. I didn't look the same and I didn't feel the same. And then after that, I started getting little minor injuries here and there, and they just kept piling up. Like I tore my bicep in 2020 and then just kept going from there. So I just kind of decided that like, I mean, plus I was being realistic. Like I'm not going to be a good pro. So it's like, it's being 325 pounds all the time, just to get 10th or 11th place really worth it. And just being realistic. So I just decided to like, the injuries are piling up. My physique didn't look the same. The guys are getting so much better. I was just like, I think it's just like, that's my ceiling. And I was fortunate enough to get that far. And I wish I could have maybe done a show, but I'm glad I didn't because I would have probably embarrassed myself. I would embarrass myself to me, maybe not to everybody else, but I would have been really upset with it. So that's probably why.
Real quick, I have a question. I think Jason Scoob, I want you to chime in with where you want to go. How did it feel when you hit that ceiling? Like you turned pro and you didn't get a shot to do anything as a pro because you kind of watched it pass you by once you completed it. How did that feel?
I had every intention of doing a show. You know what I mean? But like, it sucks. Like I still deal with it today. Like it bothers me that I didn't get, like I made it. I mean, I got the goal, but like I made it. I guess in a lot of people's minds, like like bodybuilding wise, like you're not really a pro until you compete on a pro stage. So it's like I got that far, but like I didn't get to take it to where in my head would be like the full level of credibility of like actually turning pro. You know what I mean? So that part bothers me. And I'm sure a lot of people don't think that, but I think that. It's just kind of like a unspoken thing that probably like, like no bodybuilder necessarily wants to turn pro second place at nationals, but they'll take it, but like deep down they don't want that. So it's kind of the same thing with me. Like it sucks that I never got to do it. So it's like, yeah, I turned pro, but I never got to actually compete as one. So it's kind of like a, you know, unfinished business or whatever. But now I'm just too broken to do it. And I will never look the way I used to look. So it's too late now.
Good answer.
But
it's good.
Well, with not getting to get on stage and the injuries that started to mount up, I don't know if you follow Nick Walker, but he was taking shit because he's stopped training as heavy, but he's focusing more on how it feels and the contraction. And people are giving him shit, but he looks his best ever. So I guess my question to you is, do you wish you maybe adopted that way of training earlier so that you would have a career, maybe even if it's in a master's or you could look your best? Do you wish you did it differently?
I honestly don't think I did anything wrong. I just think I'm one of those body types that like get hurt. Like you see like a Grant Hill or like a Penny Hardaway, like those type of players that they just get hurt all the time. And I think for whatever reason, I mean, I always ate and hydrated. I never missed meals. I slept, went to bed on time, and everything was on the money every day. So it's like I don't know if I was just prone to it or because I see guys on the internet, man, just doing the craziest stuff with the craziest ballistic form, and then they don't get hurt. And I'm like, I've literally been hurt just with the absolute, like when I tore my tricep, like I was close grip bench pressing, but like there was nothing wrong. It just popped. And it's like every time I've ever like, well, okay. So when I tore my bicep, just let me give you an example of how I tore my bicep doing abs.
No,
I,
geez.
I was I was doing hanging leg raises
Oh,
with
wow.
my hand, not with straps, just with my arms
Yeah. Yeah.
and my
I do
bicep.
those
Like
all the
you
time.
can see it right here, like right there. Look.
Damn.
Damn.
So
You were just
it
up
just
there like this, just doing and it just
yeah,
tore?
just
Wow.
popped right in my. I was like, so I heard it in my ear, and I thought it was like my pec or something.
I would
And
never, I do those all the time. I would never even think that I could hurt myself in my bicep.
dude, that's the thing is, it's just like that's how dumb
I
I
thought
get
maybe
hurt.
you were doing kind of like a branch type power building, and I was just curious, if, but yeah, okay, got it.
I mean, it was like I lifted heavy, but I'm not the strongest guy in the world. It was heavy
Yeah,
for me, but
yeah,
I wasn't doing anything crazy.
yeah, gotcha.
So
So to wrap up the training segment, what do you when you because you prep people and you like to prep, you do really good with bodybuilders. Like you just have the so Cade won state in 14 and he actually helped the guy win state this year, Mason, who's damn good local guy. He could actually go pretty far, I think, too. What do you do with your training with your guys? Because I made the joke, I said, what do you do? Make them squat into the bar for a change, and you laughed and you said, yeah, exactly. So what do you believe in the training stuff, and like how do you go about that bodybuilding in terms of with the guys and all that?
uh, it's pretty traditional, but like I think that I don't like the guys to rely so much on machines. Like I like to have like me and Turner talked about it this weekend too. Like I like their training to have a little bit of like a machine to free weight ratio. So it's like if someone like legs is different because there's so many like great leg machines. But if you go to the gym and your workout is pec deck, hammer strength incline, some kind of machine press that's pin loaded, and some other kind of machine press, like to me that's yes, it's a great isolation chest workout and your for your pecs, but like I don't think you can get that level of density and size with just that type of workout. So I think they need to do a kind of a blend with. I like them to do like two compound movements per workout at least. Just for like I just think that's the way you should train. Like as far as like because there's guys that can go in the gym. Have you ever seen a guy that can like hammer strength like 4 plates on an incline, but he can only incline bench press like 2 1/4.
Yeah,
Like
I've seen that.
that doesn't make sense to me. So it's like I think you should build that foundational strength when you're young. And of course, everyone's different. People can have injuries or and whatever. But like I think if you get really good at the basics and you kind of just keep them sprinkled in, you never really lose it. And you never really lose. You stay strong across the board on every exercise. Like you know what I mean? Like I try to keep like a dumbbell shoulder press in rather than a machine. But I'll do like a side raise on a machine. But as long as I get them compounds, in, it's kind of like a good mixture. So um, I some guys that I think need certain things. Like I made Mason squat every week. I made him do 20 rep squats every week uh, during his prep, and he had the best legs on stage. I don't know if that's why, but he had peeled glutes, hamstrings, and quads, and giant calves. And um, I just think is for fat burning for like a contest prep, and you know something like that is just going to help you get even in better shape. And like like dumbbell rows, like there's certain things I think you should just leave in all year round. That just makes you uh look a certain way and also just keeps the strength kind of high where you never really fall off. And um so nothing crazy, but I like to try to keep a few hard things in and make guys do some hard things like all year round.
I like it. Robo, you got a question you maybe want to ask or direction you want to go? Because I've got a couple bullet points over here, so we'll see where you want to go.
Yeah, I mean, shifting away from the training itself, to get to where you did and to do what you did, it takes some sort of deep-seated motivation, whether that's something that happened to you in the past that drove you, or just a mentality. I'd love to hear kind of what you felt pushed you for all those years to get to the level you did.
I played basketball in high school and I tried really, really hard. Um, I was always trying to be like the first one that like finished like the suicides or the down and backs. Like I tried to be the one who dove for loose balls, and um, it seemed like no matter what I did, uh, it didn't matter. Like the coaches, they had who they wanted, and and then also like you would think like a good coach would like see a kid who tries so hard and maybe put like a little uh extra time in on that kid after practice or whatever. And I never got that. So I think maybe something to do with basketball, like where it was a team sport and I tried so hard and there was no reward for me. I sat the bench, and if we lost by 30 and I didn't even play, I still had to run with the whole team. And I was just like, man, this, I just didn't like that. So like, so I got into, but through basketball, I got into lifting weights because I wanted to get, I read that Michael Jordan, you know, got pushed around by the Detroit Pistons and he started lifting weights and he came back the next year and he was like 225 pounds. And then they beat the Pistons finally in the playoffs and then they won the championship. And so I was like, well, that's what I got to do. Maybe if I start lifting weights, my coach will like, I'll be better. So I started lifting weights and that's what got me in the gym originally. And it obviously didn't work, but I found a Flex magazine in the gym and it had Arnold Schwarzenegger on it. And it was the year that Ronnie Coleman lost the New York Pro, which was I think it was called the Show of Strength, the Gunter Schuyler camp. And it was like the first time Ronnie had lost in years. And I kept that magazine and I read it like every day. And then there was like a 12-week mass workout, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like mass workout. And I did that. I started shaping up a little bit and getting results. And then I went to that bodybuilding show I told you guys about when I was a teenager and I saw the kids on stage. And then I was like, well, I want to try this. And then I tried that. And I guess, I got second. So like almost winning was like, wow, my work is being like, this is something I can do where I can actually like reap the benefits of my work if I do everything right. Because there's some things you can do everything right and you have no control over. But bodybuilding is kind of like if you do everything right and you over time you might not be the best bodybuilder, you might have the best genetics, but it's going to pay off for you in some way. Like you're going to look better. And as good as you look will be determined by your genetics, obviously. But for me, luckily, it worked out well. But I think maybe that had something to do with it. Just able to like be in control of like I'm in control of what I consume. Like I'm the one that stops me from eating the meal when no one's around, like going in the kitchen and sneaking some food. So like it was always like that. I think that had a lot to do with it.
That makes sense.
Scoob, you got anything?
No, but I mean, not question right now. But I mean, I can, I can kind of, I guess, I don't know if sympathize is the right word, but the reason I picked up a barbell is very similar. I was playing soccer in college and just not big enough, not strong enough. And so I get that, and it got to the point where my senior year, I quit soccer just because I kept losing weight every time soccer would roll around in the summer. So I was like, man, I prefer what this bodybuilding is doing for me than what this soccer shit is. So, and then, it was like a competitive outlet. So I kind of get what Cade's saying. So.
Well, I want to turn it to asking you about drug use, because this is something that a lot of people are always very confused about when it comes to bodybuilding. But when did it start for you in terms of like when you decided to do your first cycle and go all in? Because I think that's when it really kicks into another gear, when you're willing to inject shit from wherever and anywhere and start going for it, right? And how did it change over time to when you turned pro? Like, did it go up that much? Like, a lot of other guys out there. How was your gear use compared to like what you've heard and what you've done? And then I want to ask you about psychedelics.
I did my first show completely natural, and then where I got a taste of victory almost with the second place, I was like, there was another show in like 4 or 5 weeks, and I was like, man, I really want to do another show. And this guy at my gym was like, yeah, you need some Winstraw. And that was all it was. He just gave me some wind. I think he gave me clenbuterol too, maybe. Clenbuterol and Winstraw. And I dropped like another 15 pounds in the next 4 or 5 weeks. And I actually won a novice class. I won a novice heavyweight. I was 19 and I beat like a grown man. Like it was just two of us, but this guy was like 30 something. So I was like, hell yeah, I'm a kid beating a grown man. And I got to go for the overall. Obviously, I didn't win that, but it was still really cool just to get a taste of that. And I'm like, man, like in 5 weeks, I was able to change that much to like just get a little taste of like victory. So after that, I started to like ask the guy who gave me the Winstraw about like, how do I get bigger? And he's like, you need some testosterone. And I honestly don't even remember if it was SIP or E or Sustanon or anything. All I know is that he would shoot me in the butt once a week at the bathroom at the gym. And I didn't even have
Sounds
access
so
to the
good.
bottle. He would just he would yeah, he would just do it. He just jabbed me right in the ass in the bathroom, dude. And it wasn't even my bottle. I didn't have it at my house. And then that's just how it went. And from there it just kind of like snowballed into, you know, cutting drugs. And honestly, I think the first time I ever used Trin, it wasn't even called Trin, it was called Finajet. And the person had like
Yeah.
made it from like pellets from like
Yep.
Tractor
Yep.
Supply.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I use like the real shit. And like
Stuff was
she's
amazing.
the first injection, dude, I gagged my fucking ass off and my eyes were watering and I was coughing. They laughed at me because they knew it was going to happen. And I was using like Finajet. And that's whenever I started to notice like real progress. And then it just
I
got,
remember. Good.
you remember what?
Sorry. Well, I was at the gym and I was still very natural. And one of these guys was telling me that, I should get into bodybuilding. And he started telling me about these pellets and things that they were doing. I thought they were fucking with me. Like, I
Yeah.
had no idea. I'm like, you're doing what? You're taking these like cow pellets and you're putting them in like fluid and then you're putting them in. You're like, I thought he was fucking with me for like 3 weeks. And then he finally was like, no, man, I'm dead fucking serious. I was like, man, y'all are crazy. So I didn't get to that right away, but I do remember when I first was told about that. And I was like, wow, that's pretty crazy shit.
So did you actually do it?
I never got that ever. When I finally, by the time I tried, it was just Trin Ace in a bottle.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it was pretty stout from what I remember. So but yeah, that I started with that and then it got I think my first coach was a local guy and he was just helping me with like prep really. But my first real coach was Shelby Starnes. And I think he kind of got me in on the first like real level. That's whenever I started taking like T3 and like I want to say like Masteron and things like that. Like maybe even Proviron. And he had me on like, and I'm not talking bad about him, but he had me on like Clen and T3 at like 100 mcgs each a day.
Must have been
And
nervous fucking wreck.
dude, it fucked me up. Like I lost so much weight. I was down. I went from like 270 to 225 in 8 weeks.
Damn.
Yeah, I looked like a praying mantis, dude. I was so skinny and flat. Like at my height, 225, like depleted, not even full. Like looks pretty bad. And especially when you're normally 270. So that's when I kind of learned the newer stuff. And then from Shelby, I went to John Meadows, learned a little bit more from him. John, I think John got me on GH,
Yeah.
taught me about that, and maybe even some insulin, and learned about that. And then it just kept progressing over time to where even if a coach would like give me a stack to do, I would kind of like talk to them about it too, because not more, but like I'm just like, to me, like if someone had me on 300 milligrams of Masteron and I'm 6 weeks out or 4 weeks out, I'm like, that's not enough.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So it got to that point. It got to that point where I was like kind of doing my own, and the coaches I was with were cool with it. Um, they just wanted to know about it. So
Yeah.
I mean, one time in 14, the one we were talking about earlier, I all on my own. No one told me to do this. He doesn't even know I did this. This was on my choice, but I did 1,000 milligrams a week of tren just to see, because I wanted to win so bad, and
Yeah.
I was like, if I look this good at 600, let's see what I look like at 750, and then and from the 750, it just kept going up to 1,000, and I won. So I was like, well, shit, that worked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I never did 1,000 again after that, but on trend. But I took Winstraw pretty high, and I took Masteron and Proviron pretty high. I learned like those. I think those. Well, trend included trend, Masteron, Proviron are pretty essential for a bodybuilder. The last
Yep.
8 weeks, and I think they can handle solid doses at the Masteron, the Winstraw, and the Proviron at least. And I know the Winstraw is probably a little toxic on the liver. But I went pretty hard. I never really went hard on like testosterone and anadrol and things like that. I think the highest my test may have been is maybe 1,400 milligrams. I mean, never went crazy on the test. It was never crazy in the off season. It was just really crazy pre-contest. And I mean, I've done 150 a day of Masteron, and you know, and all these times I did this stuff, I ended up looking really good. So it's like I don't know if that's why. I'm not saying that's right, and I don't do that to people.
Yeah. You probably
That's
processed it really well. Like you didn't go toxic. I mean, I've had guys who push, Winstrel 200 mgs a day and they're toxic mess, I'm like, why'd you do that? How high did you ever
yeah.
take?
I took Winstraw to 200 the last, so I would do it like usually by 4 weeks out with the Proviron and the Winstraw was when I started to like really mess with the numbers. So and I would go up weekly. So it'd be like 4 weeks out would be like, let's say we're at 100 right now at 4 weeks out. And then 3 weeks out would be like 125. And then I'd go up every week until the last 7 days. I'm at 200 Proviron, 200 Winstraw.
No
And
prostate problems or anything like that?
no, man, like
Yeah.
if you asked me to like pinpoint what's doing what, I couldn't tell you. Like I've known guys that say they have anxiety when they're on
Yep.
EQ or DECA, and I don't notice a
You
difference
never
on
got any
anything.
of that. You just grew
No.
a shit ton of muscle and got shredded. Yeah. So you process stuff really well. I mean, that's part of being able to be pro as well. So
What made you explore psychedelics? Did it have
Yeah.
anything to do with your career coming to an end abruptly in a way you didn't like? Or is it deep seated beyond that? Like you just wanted to know where to go next?
Yeah, I think like after like competing and maybe not just competing, but like just having a purpose, like a daily even if your show is a year away, right? And you anyone who's competed can really attest to this, but like if your show's a year away, like you're happy, like because you have something to work for every day, and it doesn't matter what's going on in your life, as long as you got your meals in your routine, like in the gym, you're good because every day is like leading to something, right? And when you don't have that anymore, I'm not saying it's hard to eat clean and hard to train because it's definitely not. It's second nature to me, but it's not. It's just not the same. Like it's just like at first I couldn't get why people would complain about like going to the gym or eating clean, but now I can honestly like I get it. Like if they're just a normal, regular, everyday person, like I get it. Like why would they want to do this? It's not that fun, but when you have a goal, it makes it that much easier. So losing losing like a purpose or a goal made you kind of feel like I don't know, I say depressed, but I guess you could say that like just like well, what do I do with myself now? Like even if you're working, it's still not like that's not fulfilling. Like I got to have a purpose besides like giving everybody else a purpose. Like if I'm out here servicing everybody else with training and making them feel better, like what's making me feel better? You know what I mean? And things like that would start to catch up to you as you got older. And I would just hear stuff about mushrooms and stuff like that. And um, everything I heard was like kind of interesting, and it just made me want to try it. And then one day I just got the balls to try it. And I did, I think I did 2.5 grams on my first time and cried for like 4 hours straight. And I was like, but I wasn't like, it wasn't bad. Like I wasn't sad. I just couldn't control my emotions. And I guess like that was me because I'm pretty like keeping myself, and I don't talk about things that bother me or whatever. And somebody asks what's wrong, I'll be like, nothing. When clearly you can probably see there is something wrong. And you could ask me all day and you just won't get it out of me. And maybe that's what it was the mushrooms just like maybe released all that. Because I would never cry in front of someone, you know what I mean? Like I'd be one of those people that if I was crying, I'd turn my head or hide my face, but you know what I mean? Like so the mushrooms like it made me like I kind of like lose my ego, I guess, in a way. And someone would think like crying for 3 or 4 hours straight, and you don't even know why. I was just crying like just fucking, but I couldn't stop. And it was cool though. I liked it. Like when I was done, I was like that was really intense, but I liked it. You know what I mean? And so from there, I just kind of like same thing with the drugs. I just kind of upped the dose, and I wanted to see if I wanted to see if I could see some cool shit. Like everyone would say they would like see God or have like these come to think like these life changing like realizations and stuff. So I was like, maybe that's what I need. So I was just kind of like from 3 grams, I went from that to like 4 grams, and then I went to 7 grams, and uh, yeah, I guess I'll try 8 next time. So yeah, I'm into it, and I know there's a lot more to do with it and a lot more to learn from it. So uh, yeah, that's how that goes with the psychedelics.
Scoob, Robo, you guys got anything?
I'm just curious how the nutrition was in your off season when you were trying to hit the goal. Did you have a free meal? Did you go out? Did you do anything other than just eat and be a monk?
Yeah, I would have a free meal a week, but where I was eating so much food, sometimes I really wouldn't even want it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like every rice meal I was eating at one time was 350 grams of rice.
Okay.
And then the chicken and the beef were like 8 ounces. So that's a lot of freaking food, man. Like
Yep.
when you eat that, you're not, I don't want a pizza. You know,
Yeah.
that just makes me so like maybe I would like go to a steakhouse and get like a steak and a potato in place of like a beef and a rice meal that I would have had, or but I never had like at the later ends in bodybuilding, I never had like the desire for much food because I was eating like I was sick of food. But in the early years, I would crush a pizza and some ice cream and things like that, you know, just trying to get my weight up. And then once once I was like holding the 300s on a consistent basis, I was just like, man, I don't want to eat nothing because I was eating 8 meals a day.
Okay. Wow.
Oh,
But it was the same thing at the same time every single day, and it still is right now, honestly. But
Really?
back then,
Even if
man,
you leave the house, you're taking chicken and rice, or
I mean, ask Jeff. I came to his house and I sent
had
mega
20
fit meals.
meals here. It was literally just fucking beef and rice and chicken and rice. Yep, he ain't lying. So when you did did that like disturb you in any way to eat the same shit every day? Because that's the biggest roadblock you hear anybody ever say by doing this. It's just madness to do, 16 weeks of the same food over and over day. Or did that remove some anxiety and some stress for you?
No, because like I said, to me, that's the way I thought you had to do it, like the way I had to do it. And then I would see other guys like doing stuff differently, and I'm like, man, like they'd go out to like nightclubs in the off season or go to bars, and I'm like, and they'd still be huge, and I'm like, man, you could, but I just couldn't make myself do it. You know what I mean? Like if I go to a movie, I'm like, well, what time's the movie play? Plays at 7. Oh, I eat at 7:30, so I got to bring a meal with me. You know what I mean? So it's like it was exhausting, and it is exhausting still. It's like a mental thing. I just can't. I'm obviously better about it, but I'm trying to get even more better about it. But like, it's hard to turn it off when you've done it so long. It's like it's a serious like it really is an eating disorder. Like, I mean,
Yeah, I was going to ask you if
it's
you felt like it was slightly an illness. I mean, you know, if
yeah.
you could go to a movie now and you're a retired pro, I mean, obviously, if you miss one meal, you're a big dude, dense. You're not going to lose that much at anything, but you can't bring yourself to not bring that meal, huh?
I'm trying, man, but like it's just like it's yeah. I want to do that. I want to be able to just go somewhere and like not have to worry about it. But then I know if I like walk by a mirror and I look at myself and I'm like, oh, you're a skinny little piece of shit. Like that's because you missed that meal. And I don't even know why. I don't even know why I think that way. And it's
Yeah. What
just
are you
like,
weighing now? Anyways, you 275. Well, you look like you're about.
yeah, I'm like 275. Yeah.
Yeah.
Only.
And I eat six.
Right.
I eat 6 meals a day, so it's like it's not the 8 that it was, but it's still and it's significant. Like my 350 rice is now 250 rice,
Yeah.
so it's a little
That's not a
lower.
ton. I mean, I can put that down too. That's not like it's a
Yeah,
ton, but you're still pretty rigid, is what it sounds like.
yeah, and I honestly don't want to be like I don't want to be just wake up in the morning and
No, right, and have
eat a bowl
shit.
of yeah, but like I don't want to be like psychotic about it. Like it
Yeah.
affects my life and affects like my relationships with like people won't invite me places and they're like, oh, he's not going to go.
Yep.
Things like that.
Yeah. Hmm. So,
Um,
how often are you training now? 4 or 5 days a week still, or?
I still do 4 days a week.
Okay. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Romo, you got anything?
Yeah, I want to go back to the psychedelics because I'm curious as you've upped that dose, as you explore more, is your experience the same every time? You know, the tears, is it differing? What does that look like?
Yeah, like the one thing I have noticed is that I don't know why, man, but every time I do them, I freaking cry. But it's not like it's never bad. Like if you ask me if I had a bad trip, I would say no. But like the things I see are it's always like it's always like memories that you don't know you have until you see them again. Like because you lived your whole life, you get that, right? There's people that you've met when you were a kid or whatever that you remember and hear, but you don't remember right now. Like so when I would do mushrooms, I would see someone from like my childhood who I had no idea they even existed in my head until I saw them like, oh yeah, I remember that. And then it just made me emotional. And I would see things that I would remember that I didn't know I remembered that were just locked away in my head. And I don't know why it makes me so emotional, but I guess it makes you think like maybe how fast life can just pass you by. Maybe I don't know. And
Mm.
like um but like if I listen to music, it's a bunch of like random I've tried it every way and the way that I prefer to do it the most is in complete darkness with no music and no outside influence. Like just in a bed with a sheet over your head, eyes eyes closed, and let the mushrooms do. You know what I mean? Let your brain get influenced by the mushrooms. And because if you listen to music, you can kind of the way a song goes up and down and the tempo changes and stuff. It can make you see different things. But if you have nothing but just your brain, that's I think that's how people should really do it. Unless you're going to like a party or a concert and you just want to have fun. But if you really want to do a good trip, 3 grams or more, I think you should go lay in a dark room with with a blindfold on or in headphones on, but no music, complete darkness. And that's will really show you what's in your head. And that the guy that I was like reading about, his name was Terrence McKenna.
Yep.
He said that's the way to do it. And he called it the heroic dose, which is like 5 grams or more. And so I was like, whatever, I'm gonna try that. And I've done that 3 times, and every time you cry for like 3 hours. So be prepared. If you do it, I mean, if you've never done that before, I encourage you to at least try it once.
I haven't. I've done the. I mean, you know, in college, I don't know what I took, how much, and then I do the like, you know, microdosing. So I don't know. I've never done that. I don't think.
I did 2 grams in a float tank, 2 90-minute sessions back to back. So in that complete darkness, and that was a fucking trip in itself, man. That was wild.
I don't know if I'd want to be. Are you kind of in a pod when you do
Nah,
it?
it's like you're in a pool, like a little baby pool. And you're
Is it
swimming around.
open or are
Yeah,
you?
it was open. I
Oh,
had an
okay.
open one. Yeah. I didn't do the closed one. It's too much of a
Okay.
system.
Oh man, I would be
But
worried.
no, what he's telling is the truth, because that's what I always thought when I read all the stuff that they did. And like Stephen Kotler talks about this in all his books about getting into flow. They manipulate it with music. And if you listen to like orchestra and stuff like that, like they tell you to, those highs and lows, like Cade's not lying. That can take, it's already going to give you waves because that's part of the shroom trip. It's a wave of emotions. And then if you're doing that music, you can get really susceptible and your ass kicked in a little bit on it. So that was pretty cool. Have you tried anything else or is it just the shrooms?
No, I've only done mushrooms. I would like to try like DMT and ayahuasca, but that's not as accessible as mushrooms are
That's
for
true.
me at least.
That's true. I have a question that I want to go down and I know we've talked about, I told the guys I want to talk to you about it, but what regrets do you have in this,
The
in this pursuit of everything you gave? Is there any regrets you have in your life that maybe the mushrooms showed you? Anything? I mean, like you can look back now and say, fuck, I wish I had done these things differently. Would you have gone for it knowing what you know now?
Yeah, that's tough. I don't know if I always tell people like bodybuilding is the best thing that ever happened to me, but also the worst thing that ever happened to me. So I don't know if I would do it differently, but I definitely regret on like not doing more things in life, like because I was working or because a show was coming around. Like I've missed on family trips and vacations because I tended to always diet throughout the summer. And I always had an August or September show. So like that cuts June and July out for me, right? It was just easier for me just to stay home and do my thing. You guys had fun. Looking back on it, I've never even been to I mean, other than the time me and you've ever been drunk. I've never been to a strip club. Not that I want to go. I've just never been. Like there's things that I've never done, man. Like that most people my age, just about 95% or more probably have done. So it's like I regret like missing out on things maybe. And maybe I regret just being so regimented and strict. But then again, what I have turned pro if I didn't do it that way. I don't know. That's not for everyone else, but like I said, that's just the way I thought that I had to do it. And looking back on it now, yes, I regret doing that. It's tough. It's a tough call. Like I'm glad I did it because I did something that no one in my entire town has ever done. I'm the only one bodybuilding wise. There's a couple of like, figure masters girls or whatever, but that doesn't really count. And I mean bodybuilder. Like
I know what you
it's
mean. This is funny what you said.
no, I just mean like it's just not the same. So like, but yeah, it's the best and the worst thing that's ever happened to me. So it taught me a lot. It gave me the confidence, that I could pretty much accomplish anything that within reason that I put my mind to. But it also gave me a lot of injuries. It probably screwed my health up. And I mean, my health seems fine, but who knows whenever I'm 50, what that would look like. So yeah, I regret it, but hey, that's tough, man. It's just like you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I could only
Are
imagine.
you able now, Cade, to like go on a vacation and kind of relax and chill out a bit? I mean, obviously you're going to still get your food in somewhat, but are you able to go take some time away now? And I mean, you're a young man still. I mean, there's things you want to do, go do it.
We're finding out. He said he's going to the guys trip next year.
Oh, okay.
The one that you're coming
I'm
to.
already
So
in.
yeah, I know. That's why I'm interested to see. Does Cade really do it?
All right.
Yeah, I'm working on it, man. But I would do it. I've never actually been on a vacation, and I've never been I've never been 7 days to a beach. I've never,
Oh wow.
never in my life, not once. Back if you asked me 5 years ago, I can't comprehend going somewhere for 7 days and just sitting on the beach and like, what do you do? Just sit in a chair and stare at the ocean? Like oh, that doesn't seem fun to me. So it's like, I don't want
Yeah.
to do that,
Yeah.
but
You
I
can
get
do
it.
it
And
on shrooms.
Yeah.
well, yeah, that would be actually kind of sick, but
I'll go to the gym with you in the morning. I'm sure some of us will, but yeah, then I just lay around and stare at the ocean and bullshit and maybe
yeah, I
have a
mean,
beer or two, smoke a little and just kind of chill.
and that's perfectly normal. And that's what I should do. And that's what I want to do. But I've never done it, man. And
Yeah.
it just hasn't worked out yet, but like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get to that point. And I train people at the gym, and I always was like, well, if I miss 7 days, they're probably going to realize that they can work out without me and save a lot of money
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And just being scared, like just out of my element.
Well, I think Jeff could help you there. I mean, Jeff takes time, and Jeff, your people stick by you, don't they?
Yeah, they pay monthly. There's 4 extra weeks in the year, like I told Cade. You can take a little time here and there. People get that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you just make the sessions up.
And when I went to visit, yeah, and I came to visit you, and everyone was cool about it. And they were actually happy for me. They're like, yeah, we're glad you're going somewhere.
Yeah.
So, you know,
And Jeff, we're not doing
it's
7
something I
days.
need to work on, but
Are we, Jeff?
No, it's
What?
4
Three.
tops.
Yeah. So there you
Yeah.
go. It's a work in. It's a
Yeah.
crawl.
yeah,
before-
I could handle that. But
Yeah.
I definitely want to do it, and I definitely need to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
And those are things mushrooms are like helping me realize too. You know what I mean? Like,
realize. Mhm.
just you need to hang out with your friends more. You need to do more things.
Mhm.
There's more to life, and I know this, but it's just a habit. It's just like you said, it's like a mental illness almost. Like, there's more to life than just bodybuilding, and not that I don't even care about bodybuilding anymore.
Yeah.
It's just the
It's the
routine.
regiment of it. And I
Yeah.
believe me, I get it. I've been doing this since I'm 18. I'm 45. But I can run out of the house and grab a shake and 2 bananas and be totally fine. I don't know what fucking macros are in it, but I'm okay. It sounds like you must have chicken and you must have rice, and you gotta know what the amount is and what, like, so I think it's just kind of getting to that point where you can kind of just be a little more relaxed. But I get it. I trust me, I get it. So
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, I wish I was like that, where I'm like, I don't got time. I'm just gonna grab a banana and a shake. Like that's where I need to be. Where I'm still getting my meal in. It's just like it'll be
less
okay.
stress. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's less.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
So
Yeah. Robo, Jay, do you have anything? Because I will say it's been a very interesting conversation because I always tell people, when these young kids talk to me about turning pro at my gym, I'm like, man, you need to talk to my buddy Cade because they'll give you a real honest look at it. And I really appreciate this because I mean,
yeah,
you're on the other side of it a few years and you're still like fucked up about it. I mean, it's like it lets you know that, because that was my big thing. I told you when I was up here in front of my wife, I was like, I'm gonna have to go to therapy when I'm done with bodybuilding, like actively competing to like figure out where to move that target somewhere else. So like, and I know you recently entered counseling too to start answering that question. But I wanted to ask him if they had anything to round up because it's been a really eye-opening conversation. Not what I really anticipated it to be, which is way cooler.
I'm super curious, what's next? As Jeff mentioning, looking at the future, do you have personal professional goals that you're shooting for?
Yeah. I just need to get. I'm so stuck in my ways with my routine, and sometimes I'll turn people down because it interferes with my schedule that I like, and I got to stop doing that. And I think that's a big key to making me better. Like, just being more spontaneous um, and just like I definitely want to grow my business, and Jeff was helping me with that, and I think if I focus on that, that will kind of
yeah,
help me
big time.
get off this
Yep.
to feel that.
I can definitely second that. When you've got your irons in the fire and really change that mind as an entrepreneur. I'm not saying I won't maybe do a master show one day. I have no freaking idea because I still like to train and do all that too. But when your focus kind of shifts, I'm only gonna get 3 days in this week. I got too much going on. I just went to a push-pull legs and it's gonna have to work. And I really don't have much stress over it. But if I was getting ready for a show, or I was trying to make an Olympia, or trying to do this, or win a class, it would stress me the hell out. So but I got business goals and things going on this week. And so it kind of is what it is. So I think that's probably a good focus for you, perhaps.
Yeah, and I want to be more like what you just said. I want to be like, oh, I only got time for 3. And just be okay with it.
Yep. Yep.
And that's but I don't want to make excuses, but I just want to be okay with it if it comes to that.
Yep.
So that's what I'm trying to get.
Let me ask you this. This is my question, because this is what I grapple with, and I'm sure I will the rest of my life. And I don't know if it's a grapple, but you obviously are in still great shape. You're carrying 275 pounds. And I'm retired and I get questions all the time. I go in a gym. Are you getting ready for a show? You're going to compete? I'm not, but I don't want to let go of the muscle either. And I don't know that I'm ever going to be able to. Do you think you'll ever get to a point where you can change that persona, or is it just too ingrained in you?
That's something that scares me too, is like, because I was walking around at like 315 and it was just bulked up. It looked cool in clothes, right? And I wasn't fat or nothing like that. I didn't have any abs or anything, but like I didn't look bad. And the health aspect came in, and I was like, and plus I'm like, for injury reasons, it's just not healthy to walk around at this weight. So I made the decision to lose weight, and I do feel a lot better. But even at this weight, which is still bigger than everybody else, and people still compliment me and make comments, I still look in the mirror and I'm just like, you look like a piece of shit. And I don't know if it'll get better if I get smaller. Like, me, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
But I know that the older you get, I can't be 50 at 275. That's just not smart. So I would definitely like to downsize, but do it over such a slow period that it doesn't look like because if you carry that weight for so long and then you lose that weight, we look different.
Yeah.
Like when someone else loses 10 pounds, they just look better. We look worse because the muscles filled out so long, your face sucks in. All this shit. So I would like to definitely lose weight, but it's going to have to be such a slow process that I kind of just make peace with it so slowly, because if I did it abruptly and so quickly, I think it would really mess with my head.
What are you, 5'11", 5'10", 5'11"?
6'3".
No, I'm like 6'3".
Oh shit. I mean, I feel like 250 would, 255 would be healthy at that height if it's a lean weight. So it's not like you could do that over a couple of years, and I don't think it would be like, oh my God, I've lost so much. Do you?
Yeah. I think if I can get around 250, that I could like still look okay.
That's pretty. I feel like that would be not that much strain on your body at 6'3". Shit.
No, I mean, I don't feel any strain. I don't really feel that much strain at this weight.
Yeah.
So I definitely, with 25 pounds would definitely be a big difference, and I'd probably feel even better.
Yeah. I didn't.
Well, I don't have sleep apnea anymore, just from losing the 315 down to this. So that helped.
Yeah, that'll prolong health. I mean, that's tough on your heart. So good deal.
Yeah,
it's just curious. It's something that I always grapple with. Like, it's like, when am I gonna stop worrying about the size and just being a bodybuilder? And I just don't think it's ever gonna happen. So,
I don't think you can just turn that off, man. I mean, it's your kind of your identity at this point, and you're used to getting looked at when you go to the grocery. Not that matters to you, but like you're just used to it.
You're used to it. Yep. Yeah. It's the honest answer. Yeah. That was my question, Jeff.
Yeah, I know. Cade and I were talking about it because my looming back injury and me waiting to see the surgeon. And I'm like, I'm actually starting to get better. So it's been this weird, wild ride. But I was like him. I'm like, man, I go, if they tell me to lay out, I'm going to lay out for 12 weeks. But my first thought's like, cranking the GH and the test and getting it back as quickly as I can, you know. So I don't
It's
even want
tough.
to, I don't
It's
even want to
tough,
think about
man.
it. Yeah, no, I mean,
I
I
don't know
get
how
it.
guys retire and don't touch a weight. I
Dude,
look.
it's an addiction. I think the only way you can do is you got to walk cleanly away from it. I think they treat it like alcohol. They never touch it again because to them, it's like probably what Cade and me and you have to some degree, you know, where it's like
I'd be
it fuels
depressed.
us. I'd be depressed too. I get it. Cade, my last question to you is this. You're a dad, your son comes to you and wants to give his all towards one goal. What advice would you give him, knowing what you know about the pursuit of chasing just one goal? Absolutely.
Honestly, I'm into it. I would support him, man. And I admire anyone who's like into something so much that they really like. I wish a kid would come to me and be like,
It's
"Hey, I
passion.
want to be." Yeah, I like it. Like if he wants to play soccer, I don't know shit about soccer, but guess what?
Yeah.
I will learn everything there is to learn, and
Yep.
like I'm totally into it. I hopefully it's not bodybuilding, but if whatever it is, man, I'm all about it.
Yeah.
That would actually make me really happy
I like
because
that
that's
answer.
the way I always was. Yeah, I was always that way, and I always wanted someone to like to help me, and I never really had anyone. So I feel like it's my job to help him if he does want play the guitar, whatever the hell it is. I'll make him the best at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. As you saw, Keegan's starting to chase the bodybuilding thing, and I'm having all these conversations with him about like you'll never look at food the same. You're never going to look at yourself the
Mhm.
same. You're never going to look at all these things the same. And he's like, I don't care. I want it. I'm like, all right, well, let's do it. You know what I mean?
Hey,
And go down there.
you gave him the facts, and you'll
Nope.
continue to give
Yep.
him the facts, and he can make his decision, and then you support him.
Yep.
You
It's
know?
just always nice to hear from other dads too, because you know,
Yeah.
sometimes people, you know, be like, oh, don't do that. I'm like, I don't know, man. I put all my
I'm like
eggs into
Cade.
doing
I would
it.
probably
So
prefer it not be bodybuilding, but at the
yeah,
same time, it's
it'd be
given me a
worse
lot.
things.
It's given me
Yeah.
a lot. You
That's the
know,
way
it's
I
given
look
me a
at
lot.
it. It's given me a
So
whole lifestyle. Like if
if
I didn't
that's
get into it, like Jason,
yep.
we never, the three of us never got into bodybuilding. When we wouldn't have the incomes we have, we wouldn't be doing the
No,
things we do. I wouldn't
no,
own a gym that everyone
not even close.
loves. You know, Cade
Nope.
wouldn't have his private 20,000 square foot gym he's got in Kingsport.
Mhm.
He's got like a fucking half court basketball court in his gym. I'm actually kind of jealous about it.
Mhm.
But Cade, dude, thanks for taking the time to join us. This is where can people find you, follow you, and all that? You promise to be more active on social media so people can ask you
Mhm.
questions and things like that. And what kind of clients are you currently looking for out there,
Question.
like online, in person, things like that?
Just on Instagram, just my name, but that's where you can find me. But you know, any type of client really, preferably bodybuilders, you know, for online like prepping and stuff like that. But in person, man, anything's good with me.
Yeah.
Uh, and I mean bodybuilders as far as like contests. I don't like prepping girls. You know, that's just not my specialty. I think they got too many hormone issues, and there's guys that specialize in that, and I just don't like fooling with it. You know,
Yep.
so nothing against them. I've prepped girls and I've had success with them, but I prefer bodybuilders and in classic and men's physique, you know, et cetera, but just mostly guys. Um,
Yep.
but yeah, that's about it.
Cool. You prefer people message you on IG or any way that is there a special way to get a hold of you? Like you on OnlyFans, anything like that? You got a good website where people smack it to?
Yeah, you can go to my OnlyFans, but it's for men only, so no girls are allowed.
Good luck. I'm right in. Yes.
Yeah, no, just IG, man. That's my email's on my thing, so it's all on there.
Cool. Well, dude, thanks for taking the time to join us. We really appreciate
Yeah.
it, man.
Thanks for the honesty.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, it was very transparent, which I was hoping to get, and I appreciate you being open to have it. So
No, I appreciate you guys letting me come on.
cool. Well, take care, guys. I'm gonna hit stop and we'll get going. See y'all next week.
All right.
Peace.